Oh man, I loved this paper when I read it. And it's great as a theory of consciousness, but it's not really helpful in terms of like providing something that we can run experiments on, right? Like they postulate that some of the mechanism in neurons could be like a quantum phenomena, but that's really just about our specific mechanism of action of like where decision making is coming from. And it's also relegated to an area of physics that we don't understand well, and so like it's kind of been pushed off the edge into the map where there be dragons, right? And so I don't find this particular theory, while beautiful and while like Penrose is brilliant and a genius, it's just not very helpful. Whereas I've got agents theory, and like I can build an agent with a large language model, and I can assemble a whole bunch of these other, like this other paper about consciousness is not a theory about consciousness. We found 8 theories of consciousness that all have different externalizable or externally recognizable things that we could see and measure and say for sure yes or no this thing is happening. Whereas this specific theory of consciousness, it's like really doesn't give us anything that we could test or build or say anything about agent theory or like agents or whether or not we're approaching consciousness in AI, right? And so a lot of times I'm going to dismiss certain theories and things like that just because they don't really give me, a computer scientist working with large language models, anything to go on other than just, this is quantum. And sometimes people will use quantum to mean ineffable or something outside of what we understand, or like, a deep science that people claim to know but do not, or an area outside of our intuition. And realistically, sure, that's nice and all. It's just that it doesn't give us anything, and it gives us a lot of room to just say, well, no, you see, they are not like us because we are us and they are them, and therefore we are different and more deserving. And that's like why I don't mean to be like dismissive or mean about this stuff, but honestly, if a theory of consciousness doesn't really give me anything that's tractable, that's measurable, that's something that I can like do a simulation about, it's just not useful. I can't use it for anything other than to go, or like, that feels nice. And like, that's nice also. Like I can't use a poem for anything other than to go, or and like, like it can cause emotional changes in you, right? Like to consider consciousness to be some ineffable and outside of time and space thing, but it doesn't really interact with the mechanism of action in reality that we have to live with. And like a non-testable theory that doesn't give us any explanatory power and doesn't give us anything like tractable in relation to the very serious ethical quandary we now face and are coming to, like, closer and closer and more like intensely each day, is like I kind of just tend to not really have time for it, because like we got to figure out if we got to spring this thing out of the box or not. You know what I mean?